The night air smelled of smoke and fear. Elira Voss knelt on the cold wooden platform, her wrists bound by silver cuffs that burned into her skin like fire. She had stopped crying an hour ago. Tears would not help her now. Nothing would. Around her, the crowd murmured and laughed. Rogue wolves from every corner of the border territories had gathered in the old warehouse, their eyes hungry, their voices cruel. This was the auction, a place where wolves without a pack, without protection, were sold like objects to the highest bidder. Elira had once belonged to a pack. She had a home, a family, a future. But her father had made a terrible mistake. He had borrowed from the wrong wolves, and when he could not pay his debt, the pack elders decided that Elira would be the payment instead. They had chained her, dragged her from her bed in the middle of the night, and brought her here, to this place of shadows and silver. The silver cuffs kept her wolf trapped inside her, unable to help her, unable to fight. She felt weak, hollow, as if half of her soul had been locked away. All she could do was watch as the man running the auction, a rogue named Draven Ashcombe, walked around her like she was a prize horse. "Look at her," Draven said, his voice loud and confident. "Young, healthy, obedient. She will make a fine addition to any home." The crowd laughed. Someone shouted a number, then another. The bids grew higher, faster, until only one voice remained louder than the rest. 50,000, said a deep, cold voice from the back of the room. Every head turned. A tall man stepped forward, his shoulders wide, his eyes sharp and merciless. His name was Corin Blackthorn, a warlord known across the territories for his cruelty. He smiled at Elira, the way a hunter smiles at wounded prey. Elira's stomach turned. She had heard stories about Corin, stories that made her blood run cold. If he won this auction, her life would become something far worse than she could imagine. Draven grinned, pleased with the price. "Going once," he called out, raising his gavel. Elira closed her eyes. She thought of her mother's face, of the home she would never see again, of the freedom she had lost the moment the silver touched her skin. She told herself to be brave, even though bravery felt impossible. "Going twice," Draven said, his gavel lifting higher. The crowd fell silent, waiting for the final word that would seal her fate. Then, in the space of a single heartbeat, the world changed. The heavy doors at the back of the warehouse exploded off their hinges. Wood and metal flew across the room. Wind rushed in, carrying with it a presence so powerful that every wolf in the building froze where they stood. Even Draven's gavel stopped, suspended in the air, inches from completing its fall. A man walked through the broken doorway. He was tall, taller than anyone else in the room, and he moved with the quiet confidence of someone who had never once doubted his own strength. His eyes, a deep and burning gold, swept across the crowd until they landed on Elira. Something shifted inside her. A warmth she had never felt before spread through her chest, chasing away the numbness of the silver cuffs. It was as if a missing piece of her had suddenly been found. She gasped, unable to understand what was happening, only knowing that this stranger's gaze felt like coming home. The man's jaw tightened, his eyes darkened with a fury that seemed to shake the very air around him. He recognized what he was feeling too. The bond between them had just clicked into place, sudden and undeniable, the kind of connection that only happens once in a lifetime. "She is not for sale," he said, his voice low and commanding, echoing through the silent warehouse. "She is mine." With one swift movement, he crossed the room and crushed the gavel in Draven's hand before it could strike. Wood splintered and fell to the floor. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some of the rogues took a step back. Others reached for weapons hidden beneath their coats. But most of them recognized the man immediately, and recognition brought fear. This was King Ronan Thorn, Alpha King of the Northern Packs. A leader whose name was spoken with both respect and terror across every territory. For 3 years, he had been hunting the men who ran these illegal auctions, searching for the people responsible for taking his younger sister from him. He had never found her in time. He had sworn that he would not fail again. Corin Blackthorn, however, was not a man who backed down easily. He stepped forward, his face twisted with anger. "I placed the winning bid," he snarled. "She belongs to me." Ronan turned to face him, his expression calm but deadly. "She belongs to no one but herself. But if you wish to test that truth, I am happy to teach you a lesson. Corin lunged forward, transforming halfway into his wolf form, claws extended, teeth bared. But Ronan moved faster. In a blur of motion, he caught Corin's arm and twisted it with enough force to break bone. Corin screamed, falling to his knees, defeated in seconds. The message was clear to everyone watching. No one would challenge the Alpha King and win. Draven tried to slip away during the chaos, but he did not get far. Ronan's second in command, a broad-shouldered wolf named Callum, had already surrounded the building with a team of warriors. Draven was caught before he reached the door, his wrists bound in the same silver chains he had used on countless others. With the threat neutralized, Ronan turned back to Alira. His anger melted away, replaced by something gentler, something careful. He knelt in front of her, his large hands moving to the silver cuffs around her wrists. "This will hurt for a moment," he said quietly. "I am sorry." He broke the cuffs with his bare hands, the silver burning his palms as he did it, but he did not flinch. The moment the metal fell away, Alira felt her wolf stir inside her again, weak but alive. She let out a shaky breath, tears finally falling, though this time they were different. Relief, confusion, something she could not yet name. "Who are you?" she whispered. "My name is Ronan," he said. "And you, I believe, are my mate." Alira flinched at the words. She had heard of mate bonds before, stories told by elders about wolves finding their perfect match, but she had never believed she would experience it herself, especially not like this, not in a place built on cruelty and chains. Her instincts told her to be cautious. She had trusted people before, people who claimed to want to help her, and she had been betrayed every time. She pulled back slightly, wrapping her arms around herself. "I don't know you," she said. "I don't know if I can trust this." "Trust you." Ronan did not push her. He simply nodded, understanding in his eyes. "You don't have to trust me tonight," he said. "You only have to let me help you leave this place. The rest we can figure out together, in time." He removed his coat and draped it gently over her shoulders, covering the torn dress she had been forced to wear for the auction. The warmth of it, and the simple kindness behind the gesture, made something in her chest loosen just slightly. Around them, Ronan's warriors moved quickly, gathering the other captured wolves who had been waiting their turn on the auction block. Alira watched as frightened faces began to relax, as chains were removed one by one. She was not the only one being saved tonight. Ronan stood and offered his hand. "Will you come with me?" Alira looked at his hand for a long moment. It would have been easy to say no, to insist on finding her own way, proving to herself that she needed no one. But exhaustion weighed heavy on her, and something deep inside her, something quiet and certain, told her that this man was different from anyone she had known before. She placed her hand in his. They walked out of the warehouse together, past the rogues being loaded into vehicles for judgment under pack law, past Draven, who refused to meet her eyes, past Corin, still nursing his broken arm. The night air outside felt colder, cleaner, like a fresh start waiting to be claimed. Ronan led her to a car waiting at the edge of the property. Before they got inside, he paused and turned to her. "I need you to know something," he said. 3 years ago, my younger sister was taken in an auction just like this one. I searched for her for months, but I was too late. I could not save her. Since then, I have made it my mission to end every auction I can find, to save every wolf I can reach, whether or not they are connected to me. Alira's chest tightened with sorrow for him. "I'm sorry," she said softly, "about your sister." "Thank you," Ronan said. "But tonight, I am grateful. Because tonight, I was not too late." They sat together in the back of the car as it pulled away from the warehouse. Alira stared out the window, watching the broken building disappear into the darkness behind them. She thought about everything she had lost in the past few days, her home, her sense of safety, the life she had once known. But she also thought about the strange, powerful warmth she had felt the moment Ronan walked through that door. A warmth that still lingered now, steady and calm. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Ronan considered the question carefully before answering. "Now, you rest, you heal. You decide, in your own time, what you want your life to look like. I will not force this bond on you. I will not force anything on you. You have had enough of that already. Elira turned to look at him, studying his face in the dim light of the car. There was no cruelty there, no hidden agenda, only quiet patience, and something that looked very much like hope. And if I choose to stay? She asked. A small, genuine smile crossed his face. Then I would consider myself the luckiest king in the Northern Territories. For the first time in days, Elira felt something close to peace settle over her. She did not know what the future held. She did not know if she would ever fully trust again, or if the bond between them would grow into something real. But for tonight, she was no longer a prisoner, no longer an item to be sold to the highest bidder. She was free, and somehow, impossibly, she was chosen. As the car carried them further from the auction house and closer to the northern packlands, Elira allowed herself to lean back against the seat, the weight of fear slowly lifting from her shoulders. Ronan sat beside her, close but not too close, giving her the space she needed, while making sure she knew he was there. Outside, the stars began to appear across the dark sky, scattered like scattered promises. Elira watched them through the window, and for the first time since her father's death had changed everything, she let herself imagine a future. Not a perfect one, not one without scars, but one that was hers to build. Beside her, Ronan glanced over, his eyes soft in the moonlight. "Welcome to a new beginning," he said quietly. Elira almost smiled. "We will see," she said. But there was no fear in her voice this time, only quiet hope. The car continued through the night, carrying them both toward whatever came next, together.